Most of Santuario de San Antonio was filled with light on Hallows Eve. Candles burned bright all around the church. The rooms of the parish center were filled with warm light and warm faces. Only the crypt remained dark. The bones behind every wall were still and silent. It was a dark place, and whatever walked in the crypt walked alone, just like you.
Alrighty then. Now I think we can close the share group and go back to...
Your story.
What?
You haven't shared your story yet.
Oh, yeah. You know, I had a story in mind, but I just forgot. Kiki's story was just so...
Come on, David. I'm pretty sure you have a story.
I mean, if there's a lot to think of, maybe you can tell us what people say about the crypt. You are the one who's been here the longest.
Yeah, I never really understood that story. And I don't think any of us here do.
Noah, aren't you tired of hearing horror stories? You must be.
I think I can sit in for one more. I'm fine.
Are you sure about that?
David, it's just us.
Don't worry, this is a safe space.
Dude, like, I know that. Second, why does it matter that it's a safe space? It's just a dumb story, guys.
We understand if it's too much.
It's not that it's too much. It's just... You know what? You guys really fell for it. The look on your faces like you actually thought I was scared is really sweet, guys. But it's Big D, come on. Of course I have a story, guys. And it's a really good one. Okay, so there have been some great, scary stories shared tonight. But I've saved the best for last. You've all been warned not to wander around the parish center in the dark. You've all heard some people here talk in hushed whispers whenever Halloween approaches. There's a good reason for that. On a dark night, much like this night, a girl wandered into the darkness and was never seen again. She was an Antiocher, just like any one of you. I remember that night. I was there. It was October 31, 2014, and a Friday night at the brightly lit parish center. It was announced there would be a game that night, a game of sardines. For those who are new in the community, sardines is like a game of hide and seek. Almost. One player hides somewhere in the parish center, and everyone goes looking for her. If you find the person hiding, you stay with them until everyone has found her. The game is about no one being left alone. This girl volunteered to hide. You see, they asked for volunteers and no one spoke up until this whisper came from the back of the room. Her voice sounded like it had traveled so long and was shaking by the time it reached the front. She stepped out of the crowd, and while the game was being explained, she kept looking down at her shoes. She was given about 10 minutes to hide before we went looking for her. Afterwards, we all split up to search the grounds of the parish center. I was still new and decided to search with a group of older Antiochers. We searched the big rooms upstairs as moonlight filtered through the glass pane-covered walls. We searched the garden and believed the wooden statues of saints would turn their heads and cast wolfish grins at us when we weren't looking. After about an hour, there was only one place we hadn't searched: the crypt. We stood in front of the wide open crypt doors. It was like a gateway into another world where no joy and light were permitted. A maze of bones and darkness lay beyond. I looked around at the others and could see I alone wasn't terrified. No one dared to enter, so I bravely volunteered. I understood their fear, but I couldn't let that girl be alone in the dark. If she was there, the thought gave me courage, and I stepped into the blackness. I was not afraid. I checked behind every corner and walked down every passageway. I knew it was getting late, but I wanted to keep looking for her. If she was there, I didn't want her to feel scared. I didn't want her to be alone. But there was no one there. Needless to say, she wasn't found. No one saw her that night, or any night since. That's why we're not allowed to roam the parish anymore at night. I, like all Antiochers, wonder what happened to her. That's it. That's my story.
Okay, that was chilling.
What a story, David.
Yeah, it really is.
I wish I had that kind of courage.
Yeah. What you did that night it was brave, David.
What do you mean? I didn't do anything that night.
You looked for her because you didn't want her to be alone. That's honestly brave of you.
Yeah, I tried to look for her, but in the end it didn't matter. I didn't see her in the crypt.
Oh, come on, David. You have to admit, though, that's pretty brave.
Please, don't call me brave.
What are you trying to say, David? You called yourself brave earlier throughout your whole story. I think that if she knew you were looking for her, she'd have really appreciated it. She would call you brave, too.
I'm not brave. I'm not brave. Okay, please stop calling me brave.
David, what's wrong?
You guys won't understand.
You can help us understand, David. We're here for you. What's up?
I'm not being 100% honest here.
What do you mean?
What I told you guys earlier, that's not what really happened. Like I said, we stood in front of the wide open crypt doors. I looked around and everyone was snickering at me because I was the only one who was terrified. That whole thing about me volunteering, they dared me to check the crypt because they could see how my hands were shaking. I didn't want to look weak. I've never wanted to look weak. So I said I'd enter the crypt. It was dark. So very dark. It was the kind of blackness that just swallows you whole. The kind you can almost feel brush against your skin like fur of some unseen creature. My footsteps echoed off the hard floors and walls, and it sounded like someone was walking right behind me. The worst part was the smell. The crypt smelled of roses. Roses left for the dead. But underneath it, it was just a foul smell of rot. It was a smell of roses and rotting bodies. I had been walking for some time. I did search most of the crypt, and I found no one. I was headed for the exit when, from somewhere in the dark, there came a sound. I stood unmoving, holding my breath. The sound came again and again. It echoed through the crypt until I felt surrounded by screams. I peered into the darkness ahead of me, and that's when they appeared. Two eyes gleamed in the dark, and they stared at me. Have you ever walked down a street in the rain and your foot suddenly falls into a puddle and the water is deeper than you thought and it's black and it's cold? Those gleaming eyes were like that. They were deep, black, and cold eyes. I had disturbed the dead, and now one stood in front of me screaming in anger. From the dark, a pale hand reached out for me. I imagined that hand going over my face and shutting my eyes and mouth. I imagined being dragged into the dark where I would be alone forever with those deep, black, and cold eyes. That thought triggered my instinct to run away. My legs took on a life of their own as I ran. I didn't stop until I was out of the crypt. The others asked me if I saw anything, and I lied, saying that there was nothing there. I was afraid they'd send me back. Anyway, the girl we were all looking for wasn't found that night. Many Antiochers believe she just vanished into thin air like some silly ghost story. Most people don't know the truth, but I know, and I only know because I was one of the few questioned by the police. The next day, they searched the grounds and found something in the crypt. Lying on the cold marble floor was a girl's body. They showed me a picture while I was being questioned. Her eyes, like puddles, were deep, black, and cold. I know. It's horrible. You don't have to say anything. But there. That's the truth of the monster in the crypt.
David. She wasn't
I
a
wasn't
monster.
talking about her. You get it? I ran away not knowing it was her. I could have helped. I could have saved her if I had known. If I wasn't so afraid, she would probably still be here. And I wish I could make it up to her. But ghosts aren't real. You know. But that moment, that moment alone, my sin will forever haunt me. That's the true ghost story. And I'm the monster that made it happen. I'm the monster in the crypt.
How did she... I mean... Do you know what happened to her?
You mean how did she die? No, I don't know. They never told me anything.
Would you like to know?
Huh? Oh. Hi. Uh, are you here to join share groups? We're actually about to wrap up.
I'm okay with that.
David?
Alright. Cool. Oh, I'm David, by the way.
We've
What's...
already met before, actually.
Oh. Really? Sorry, I don't remember.
It's fine. I get it. Anyway, would you like to know?
Would I
David.
like to know what?
About how the girl died that night?
How do you know that?
Because I was there too. In the crypt. Remember? You saw my eyes. My deep black and cold eyes.
Wait. What are you trying to say?
David. That's her. The girl in the crypt.
You were wrong earlier, David. The sound in the crypt wasn't my screams. It was me trying to breathe. Ever since I was young, I've had asthma. My asthma attacks would get severe, and it feels like I'm being choked. And every breath is a struggle. Those were the sounds you heard that night. My inhaler is what allows me to breathe properly again, and I always carry it around, but that night I dropped it somewhere in the crypt. It was dark. It was so dark. And I couldn't find it. Then I saw you, David. And I wanted to ask for your help. I reached out my hand to you, but you ran. And I was alone. Darkness, the cold marble floor, and the sound of your footsteps were the last things that I experienced before dying.
So you're...
A ghost. Okay, well, I guess you could say that.
Oh god.
It sounds silly. Yeah, but ghosts are very real, David. They're all around us. Always. Begging for help we don't give.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I wasn't there for you that night. Really, I am. That was all my fault. But I'm here now. And I'm not running anymore. If there's anything that I could do for you right now, please, please tell me, Nellie.
There's one thing. Do you think it's okay for me to share what I'm afraid of?
What do you mean?
I overheard your stories, and it's been a while since I've heard voices besides the ones in my head. And I feel like I've been afraid for so long.
I didn't know ghosts could feel afraid.
Of course ghosts feel afraid. That's why they're ghosts. But sometimes I forget that I'm alone. I used to be able to talk to someone and believe he wouldn't forget me. The next time I'd see him, he'd have this faraway look in his eyes. And then I'd remember how easy I was to forget. Sometimes I forget I'm alone. But this dream always reminds me. Dreams tell us who we are more honestly than reality does. So, my eyes are closed in the dream, and everything is black, except for an orange glow. Warmth spreads across my face. I feel something between my fingers. I'm holding hands with people. The corners of my lips move up, and I am smiling. God, when was the last time I smiled? Anyway, someone starts to talk, and he's offering up a prayer. One by one, others do the same. Their voices are like music in the darkness. I can hear prayers all around me, and I realize we must be sitting in a circle. I'm a part of that circle. I belong with these people. And I don't know them, but I want to. All the more for that. I'm listening to every word they're saying. This is the most important moment of my life. And I want to pay attention. Note every detail. Silence falls. And then I realize it's my turn to speak. This is it. My words will be heard. And I won't be forgotten. Maybe. I feel the hands I hold grip mine for support. They must be eager to hear what I have to say. I open my mouth. And nothing comes out. My throat is closing. I feel it becoming tighter. I try to push words out of my throat, but all that comes out are wheezes. I can barely breathe. If I can't breathe, I can't speak. And if I can't speak, then no one will hear me. I grip the hand that I hold so tightly. I can feel my nails dig into their flesh. If I let go, I know that they'll leave me. Tears form in my eyes, and I can feel everyone in the circle looking at me, waiting for me to talk. I want to tell them that I'm sorry. But again, the words won't come out. I think of my eyes. Maybe they'll see how sorry I am in my eyes. So I squeeze the hands I hold, and I feel them squeeze back. I open my eyes, and the tears fall. There's no one with me. I am alone. A candle sits in front of me. Its orange light illuminates the gray floor and the and the dirty white walls. And I'm the only one in the room. I looked down at my hands. Whose hands was I holding? So I closed my eyes. And in the dark, I don't see that I am alone. I feel my hands gently hold my face as I cry. And I try. I try and pretend they aren't my hands.
Nellie. It's Nellie, right? I know everything that's happened. So horrible. And I can't make up for it. But there's no need to feel alone anymore. Okay? Look. Look, we're here for you.
Huh?
Hi, Nellie.
Hey.
I can't believe this is happening.
Shh, Noah.
We're all here for you, Nellie.
Really? I don't know what to... Thank you. Really. Whew. Thank you for listening to me.
Of course. So, what happens now?
Well, I guess we move forward, right?
Even after what happened?
Nothing can change that, David. But you finally saw me. And I forgive you. All you can do from here is look out for the community.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do that.
I appreciate it. Well, take care, guys. This was nice.
With that, the tale of Sharegroup 13 has come to a close. Every voice around has finally been heard. What walks in the crypt now rests in peace, and the candle continues to light the dark with its flame. But for the rest of this eve, let the night sky remind you of what is unknown, for there are still mysteries that wander around, so that when you sleep, you remember you are never alone.